Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town of Paw Council meeting for August 16, 2017. Agenda, we'll call the meeting to order and ask for the adoption of the agenda resolution.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rock. Be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Any discussion, additions or deletions? All in favor? Very good. Okay, so there's a number of hot issues, if you will, that I know it's brought a few of you folks out tonight. There's variation hearings, there's going to be some talk about curfew bylaws, perhaps loitering bylaws, a number of different things. So some of those are going to be coming up in the committee of the whole portion, which is our next meeting that begins after our council meeting. The variation vote will be held in this council meeting, so this is the citizens' opportunity here to speak. When we get into the committee of the whole, it's generally accepted rule that people are not allowed to speak except members of council. So this is the point now where whatever might be on your mind that would have brought you out this evening and you'd like to be heard, this is the number one best opportunity to do just that. So if you step forward and give your name and your home address for the record, please. Thank you. And tell us what brings you here tonight.
Annette Niven. I live on 173 7th Street in the Paw. And as you know, we have been having a lot of vandalism, people breaking cars, spray painting, whatever you want. The RCMP has done their best to try and catch these people, but it's very hard when they're traveling and these kids are on bikes, hiding tall grass on town property, which grass is never cut. And they come out late at night. I go out 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock sometimes, twice, 2-3 times a night to walk around my block with my cane, my flashlight, and my dog. And I have to look in town property in those bushes to see if anyone's there. And I think that we have to have done something, do something to help the RCMP out, because when they come, time you call them, they're gone. So they're wasting their time. So as a community, we should work together as a community and maybe set up block walkers to walk down the block at certain times, because our citizens on patrol, they do a great job, but they're in bed by 11 o'clock. And you can spot them a mile away when they go through the housing estates. But they're trying their best. But I think all of us who do complain should step up to the plate and start forming their groups on the block to walk in pairs and do a checkout, and along with the curfew to make sure. And there were some ideas, these only ideas, like the Bear Clan Patrol that a lot of people have been talking about, which is an excellent program. However, it works in the city, but on the downside of it, we're putting the people at risk because we are a small community. And it's not hard to get to know who's who on that Bear Clan Patrol. So and it's good to have, but I think the safety issue has to come up about it before going forth on that. Also, at one time, the probation officers, they used to go home and do the home checks. Are they doing that now? I don't know. Maybe that's something you guys can look into to see if they're doing the proper checks. Also, the Child and Family Services, are they doing their checks? Because a lot of these kids are out, now I'm not saying all of them, it doesn't matter what race they're out there. And also, another one I thought that came up in another community that really worked well, and I do believe it will have to come from mayor and council to the stores, is in one town down south. You have to be 18 years old to buy spray paint and show you ID. And if you don't have no ID, you don't get no spray paint. And if they spray paint, and there's a chance at least you have a better knowledge of, the color or whatever to sort of have an idea who's selling it to the kids. Because there's nothing for me or my grandchild to go and buy spray paint. So that's another idea we had. And also maybe the Big Brother program. It's another program we can look at to help these kids that are in care or live with the parents can't control. And everyone knows about the Child and Family Services, and the landlords are being discussed before. I did also realize it's in the front one with the landlords, that they have tenants, and this includes Manitoba Housing. If they're caught first time, $100 fine to them, even if they're on welfare. Take $50 off their check and you'll see how fast those kids stay inside. Especially those small kids in the ghetto, 8, 9 years old at night. That's another way, is to find the parents, hold the parents accountable. And if they are, then they get fined, then it goes back to the welfare and they'll do whatever they have to, or the landlords. So that's another way we thought about it. And maybe if they're caught so many times, the kids caught so many times, it's a possibility that you can even have parenting skills programs. And that can be done through any of your organizations. There's grants for that. And also maybe work with OCN, because they'll take off over here and say, I'm staying with my auntie here, come to town, and it's vice versa, all over the place. And also, Jim, one time we had some type of patrol on the streets at one time, did we not? There was a grant that was given to us.
It was a community ambassador program.
And do we still have that program?
No, we don't.
And why?
Because the grant was no longer available.
It's no longer available, they have the cuts. And what else was it? Just a minute. And maybe, I don't know how you guys are going to do this, but maybe a start is to maybe start lobbying for children 16 years up to face the adult consequences. Because they're old enough to do it, they know they're doing it, they know they can get away with it, the cops' hands are tied. And I don't think it's right. Like, we are harboring 16, 17-year-olds doing adult crimes. And what they're doing is teaching the young ones how to do it, and say, yeah, you won't get caught, you guys will do it. It's the older ones that's making them use, making them do it. The gangs, as you say. So maybe, maybe someone can step up to the plate from town. If it's a town council that has to start, start getting your MLA involved, stop lobbying for this, the youth justice program to lower the age to 16 at least, because they're doing adult crimes. And they know they can get away with it, and that's not right. And the Child and Family Services Act too, you can also go on that act for picking up kids and getting them home. But those are some of the ideas I had. A lot of people are very upset on, with the burnings and the vandalism. Like, we're sort of taking manners, because we're watching our own streets now. And it's kind of working in our neighborhood a bit. But then again, they just go to another side of town. The police go out, they can't see them, they run between buildings, they jump in the grass, and they're gone. Maybe the town should check these situations out and start cutting some grass out there for them to be easily spotted. Like, I know behind our house there's a perfect two people that fit in there. And you'll never see them. And that's town property. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Well, hang on before you go. I want to first of all commend you and say thank you. A lot of people will come to this chamber and sit in that chair and say, this is what's wrong, and they get up and they sit down. You came here, you said what you didn't like, and then you gave about 10 things that we could look at to fix it. And so that's very commendable. I think that's wonderful. I would only take issue with one thing that you said. I don't know how big the children are that can hide in the grass that's on town property, but they'd have to be awful tiny because our grass is really not that high. I've been through that area. If you're talking grass that would be 4 or 5 feet high, that's like...
That's what's across from my house, even the big dog hid away from the dog catcher in it. And I saw it with my own eyes. And finally, it finally got cut. But the one behind my house, around that bush, and there's 2 or 3 lilac bushes. If you go in there, it's so easy to hide. And maybe you guys
Yep.
should take a look
Yep.
at it.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking law enforcement or patrol people or neighbors to be at the right place at the right time, every time. And
No,
that's
we
just,
do it, but the
I
police
hear you.
have, but the police have, and that's also, like, the police are doing, what I'm trying to say is, it's not because of the police, it's because these kids hide on the police go by and they can't see them.
Yep.
You go in an empty park across from Kelsey School, you'll see 3 big lilac bushes, walk in there and see how easy it is. They were drinking there last Friday, we chased them out. 5 of them. And 5 people could sit there and drink,
yeah,
and how many kids could hide in there?
yeah, I know.
So I just, like, these are
Anybody-
my observations.
Anybody else on council wish to say anything?
Whose land is that? That's with the bushes, the lilac bushes.
The lilac bushes is right across from Kelsey School in Margaret. I don't know who it belongs
Is
to.
that the empty parking lot there?
Yeah.
Right across
Yeah,
there?
and there's
That's where
3
people
big
park
lilac
their...
bushes in there. And that's, if you go, if you walk in, you'll see how big it is for people to hide in. And I don't know who that land belongs to.
Yeah.
But the one behind us belongs to Martin's, and that's another good hiding place there. Yeah, and then the other one was across the street from me, which was finally cut down, because I had blonde dog grouse to hide in there. And so does those kids. They just stay in the grass, see the cop come, we do the whistle, and you can't even see them.
Yeah,
So they're trying to do their job.
yeah. Okay,
These are some of the solutions anyway.
thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else?
Ivan Young, 70 Geimer Crescent.
Ivan?
I want to talk to you about the special meeting on July the 17th. That was to do with the Grace Lake Airport. I'll try to be brief because there's lots on your agenda. I was at the special council meeting July 17th. Public meeting lasted 6 minutes before moving into camera. The CAO made sure we left the building and locked the door. Can they do this? I asked myself, and yes, they can under certain conditions according to the Municipal Act. The question I put to you, with the special council meeting July 17th pass the test of the Act? In my opinion, I do not think so. But this might be for the ombudsman to rule on. I watched the video of the town of the Paw, May 24, 2016, Committee of a Whole meeting. The last line in the minutes for that meeting states, resolution to be prepared and presented to council in accordance with the above recommendations. And that was 6.1 of those minutes. Was that resolution ever voted on in a council meeting? I cannot find it in the minutes, but I might have missed it. Now on to July 17th, 2017, special council meeting. My research of the Municipal Act and the town bylaws had made me question if the mayor, the town councillors, and the CAO are following the Act. Here's my concerns. The minutes of the July 17th special meeting states, no resolution required as per in-camera discussion. Now, they're just a draft copy because they haven't been approved yet. So, I reviewed all the town council meetings and special town council meetings, and I cannot find a motion or resolution that was passed in a public meeting recorded in the minutes regarding Grace Lake Airport since this council took office. If this is not so, I stand to be corrected. The Opaska Times July 21st paper had an article entitled "No Drone Zone to Cover Grace Lake." The Paul Airport states, town has indicated they would be submitting their own prospectus as well. According to town councillor Crystal Morris, one was submitted following a special meeting of the council held Monday night. And the Opaska Times July 26th paper had another article entitled Town Matthias Clone, 2 bidders for Grace Lake States. Both Chief Administrative Officer Randy Salamanovich and Councillor Krista Morris informed the Opaska Times The perspectives had been submitted on the 17th to the province. Municipal Act states, 152.4, no resolution may be passed at a meeting that is closed to the public, except a resolution to reopen the meeting to the public. And yet, according to a Pasco Times paper, you acted on what was discussed in the camera meeting without resolution and vote in public. Now I refer to the town bylaw 4501 that received third reading and was passed April 25, 2016, signed by Mayor Crystal Marsh. Under section O, subsection 14, a member must keep in confidence a matter that is discussed at a meeting close to the public under subsection 152(3) of the Act until the matter is discussed at a council meeting conducted in public. Section O, section 15, a member who breaches that requirement of confidentiality under O 14 becomes disqualified from council. In conclusion, I'd ask council to check the minutes of the council meetings to see if a resolution was passed in public to allow the board's prospectives to be sent to the Manitoba government. If not, I ask the town to contact the Manitoba government and withdraw the town's prospectives. And number 2, check town bylaw 4501 and deal with any violations of this bylaw as required by the bylaw. I believe one of the responsibilities of the CAO is to see the town is run in accordance to the Act. The fact the CAO is making comments to the press about what happened in an in-camera meeting should be a great concern to this council. In closing, I'd like to thank you for your time and service to the community. Any questions?
That's just what I was going to ask. Any comments or questions?
Can I get a copy of your
Yes.
stuff so I can check into it all, please?
Did you want to say anything? It looked like you're about to speak.
I'm thinking about what we just heard.
I don't expect that, there's too many talking.
With regard to in-camera process, if I'm correct, one of your issues was that did the item belong in the in-camera situation in the first place? And then 2, were matters that regarding this issue that were discussed in camera later spoken of in the public realm prior to coming forward by resolution from council to put it in the public realm?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've read the Act, you probably know it as well as I do or better than I do, but it's very specific that nothing can be acted on in camera until it comes to a public meeting. The agendas do not show anything of it ever coming back to a public meeting after that meeting. In fact, this is the first public meeting since then.
So if I could,
Yeah.
the prospectus was actually discussed at the meeting previous to that publicly. Councillor Gibb brought a presentation forward from the CDC indicating that he was going to, the CDC was going to be submitting a letter of support to Mississippi Air. And I had asked him at that time whether the CDC was aware that the town was also planning on submitting a prospectus. So it was something that had been talked about publicly, and I believed it was spoken about at a committee of the whole meeting as well. It might not have been, you know, the agenda item might not have been Grace Lake prospectus. It might have been attached under a different agenda, but.
But as the paper states, it was submitted after the special meeting.
It was submitted, it was submitted on the due date, yes.
Anybody else? No? Okay, just a couple of things. Reading any act from any province is not exactly what I would call riveting reading. It's mind-numbing, and it is open to interpretation on 1,000 different levels, usually with every single bit of legislation that's ever produced. So I certainly won't dispute what you've read and your thoughts on it. I certainly won't. The reason for that special meeting was for us to collectively have a conversation that to make sure that we were all, everyone was aware what everyone was thinking. And that's pretty important when you're going forward. You don't want to be confused. And so it was very important that we hold that meeting. There's a lot of people that showed up that night. It was always going to be an in-camera meeting, right from the time that I called it. And so because of the incredibly tight timeline, is the only reason why we had a special meeting, because we were going to have, if we were going to submit, we had to submit by midnight. So that was the reason for the meeting. I can assure you, there's been nothing underhanded going on at all at any level. It was about a timeline, and so we had to meet on the 17th or not at all. So that's
Can I
right.
make a comment?
Sure.
I mean, the previous meeting, the timeline was more than ample, right? The previous meeting was to discuss that a response was given to the province without the knowledge of council, which we discussed, and we passed a resolution that going forward, right, any communication on town letterhead has a knowledge of council. So we can't say to the public there was a timeline because a letter was sent 5-6 weeks ahead of time, and we didn't deal with it until about 3 days before, like the Thursday or Friday before, and it was due on the Monday, right? Is that a fair assessment? So I just want it to be clear to everyone that we can't say it's a type line. I don't know what the rules are about talking in camera, so I won't repeat what was spoken there. But the discussion in camera was to deal with what came out of it, right? And prior to that, council didn't have knowledge of what was going on because we weren't afforded that communication. Is that a fair assessment?
No, because that's not accurate. Again, it's just simply not accurate.
But that's what's
I don't wanna
reflected,
have that
that's
discussion
fine,
again,
but I mean,
so-
that's what, we passed the resolution to deal with the issue that happened. Whether the media picked up on it or not, that's one irrelevant. But I mean, we as a council had an issue where we weren't apprised of a timeline and a response, and we dealt with it, and then we put forward a resolution, we passed, and that's reflected in the minutes and in our meetings. And I agree, we should just move on from this.
Yeah,
I can get going,
yeah,
so.
and I think
One more
that,
comment.
Sure.
Municipal act I'm referring to is the Manitoba Municipal Act.
right,
And
yep,
so.
Ryan?
Yeah, having heard what we just did now about what the purpose of that in-camera portion was from the mayor, I think the question as council we need to have, when we choose to go in camera, it's not to just talk amongst ourselves and get a general decision made and then bring it out and say, everybody, look at what we've decided. You know, on hindsight now, I would say, well, maybe that debate amongst ourselves belonged in the public realm where the people could hear what we're saying and where we have to think about what we're saying and why we're saying it and who we're serving and who we're trying to improve our community for, whatever it may be. One of the problems when we allow things to go in camera without careful consideration to, as Mr. Young points out, they don't meet the test of meeting one of the 7 items that allow you to go in camera. If it doesn't meet that, then what we're doing is we're going into private and making decisions outside of giving the public the opportunity to hear our debate. And to me right now, the lesson to be learned by councillors is we don't just move in debate because somebody says, well, I don't want to discuss it in public. Well, if you don't want to discuss it in public, maybe we shouldn't have been discussing it at all. The problem you run into, as well as is pointed out, now there's a trickle-down effect that other people's follow-up activities based on an in-camera situation are being called into question. And that creates a whole different challenge in itself. So with regard to the in-cameras and stuff, we have to do more than just say, yeah, okay, go in camera. We have to look at the why and do that test. Does it meet the requirements of the Act?
Anybody else?
I would just echo that, actually, we do follow the process. I have not had an experience where our CAO has led us astray in terms of whether or not we're appropriate to be in camera and discussing an item that is there. I've been here for almost 7 years, and I can't think of an instance where legitimately there isn't a reasonable and logical portion of that discussion that meets the test of the Municipal Act for the purpose of being in camera. Whether or not the process stands up in terms of coming back out for the resolution to be made with this specific issue, couldn't say off the top of my head. Maybe we had a misstride there somewhere. I do not at all entertain the idea that we've been in camera discussing things that shouldn't be in camera.
The final word can be from the ombudsman, actually.
I'm sorry?
The final word can be from the Manitoba ombudsman if required. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Adam. Anyone else? Okay.
Cindy Stephen, 527 Bignell Avenue.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, just concerned about vandalism, the firebugs we have out there. Whatever Annette said it's true. My husband had to go for a walk last night because we heard that whistling again. What I'm concerned about are more the kids starting these fires. They're going to kill somebody. And then what?
Yeah.
So we have to pull together as a community and start doing something with these little darlings, so they've been called.
What's the whistling? Sorry.
Pardon me?
The whistling?
Whistling. This is how they communicate, bouncing basketballs apparently.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Like the community where I live, whenever we leave, 3 or 4 of the neighbors know.
Because
I
they're
mean,
whistling.
my house hasn't been unoccupied all summer because of this stuff going on.
Wow.
I mean, I think I was away a week this summer. My husband just down to Swan and back. We haven't had a holiday because of this. And she had mentioned about foster kids. I've been fostering for 16 years. I've had over 55 through my door, and never once has any of my foster children caused any trouble. I know where they are at all times. Even during the day, I know where they are. Even my other 2, and Riley, I knew where they were all the time growing up, and especially with Riley being a special needs. And even now, he's told that he can't go biking down by the river because of them hanging out down there. He'll usually phone me when he gets home. Or he'll just phone just to Gab to tell me, the police are picking somebody up here or there, or things like that. But yeah, he's been told that he can't even bike in certain areas of town anymore because of all of this. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Yep, Margaret?
I just want to say your comment about you checking on your foster children, highly commendable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Annette Niven, 173 7th Street. Just to clear up what Cindy had said about the kids. First of all, when you see a kid down the street, mostly one, they'll skateboard down the street. And then, sometimes you're a ball bounce. Then maybe half an hour later, then the whistling starts. I had 2 in my yard. And I phoned the RCMP, and my dog barked, thank God, and I banged on the window. I never saw 2 kids take off so fast, faster than jackrabbits. But they were gone by the time the RCMP. So if you hear whistling around your neighborhood, or ball bouncing at times, and especially the skateboard, he's the scouter. And the kids are going to be in that area. So just some food for thought for those who didn't know, something to look out for, because these kids are pretty well organized now. And it's really hard to have to say that, but if you work as a community, I'm sure it's something we can get done. And also what I think really has to be done too is Manitoba Housing stepping up to the plate themselves and start cleaning out some of their stuff, garbage. Because like the people, they're trying to make it good, like they're living there, trying to be good, but there's also, Manitoba Housing doesn't seem to care who lives where. And it makes it really, really hard because you got your kids there, you got your cousins there, you got your uncles there, You got your gang members in there. So where's the stop cement? So I think maybe it's possible for you guys to make them step up to the plate too. And, start pointing out some of these things.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Margaret.
No,
One moment, please.
with Manitoba Housing, sorry, I talked to somebody last week, and they are doing a different application form. It's called like the home application. So there is being changes done there.
Yeah, the application form now has a different question. It's more or less what we're pushing for is also to do with the insurance, because a lot of them don't have insurance, and I'll be bringing that up to the provincial board level to try and get them insurance, either on their welfare checks or through the rent, to increase the rent.
Okay.
So I'll be bringing that to the provincial board, because I do sit on the associate assistant board provincially. So that's just one thing I definitely would like to bring up. But I still say Manitoba will have some house cleaning to do. And not only that, and seniors too.
We're going back where you're saying that the kid should be tried as an adult. There's one possibility that maybe we could have the judge sit in on the meetings with the RCMP and say, because if they say to find them and they take off their welfare checks, the judge will not do that. From the information I got, they'll say they're on welfare, we're not going to find them. So there's a stop right there. So if we maybe have the judicial system and the RCMP and the people higher up that can actually, that everybody knows, okay, well, let's try this, no, you can't do this, or let's try this, we can't do this.
But like the landlords, they're going to be responsible. The tenant gets a fine, and they don't pay, it goes back to the landlords, and the landlord's going to have to step up late. No, that's just an idea.
Yeah.
And that would be the same thing as Manitoba Housing. They don't pay, it goes on their taxes. And maybe some of the landlords just start stepping up.
Yeah.
You can't babysit them, I understand that. But you're still responsible for your tenants.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else? Just have a seat, tell us your name and your address, and we're good to go.
Stephen, Fire Horizon, 12 2nd Street West. I'm just going to explain the whistling to you guys. The basketball and the basketballing and the skateboarding, that's just innocent kids, honestly. But the whistling comes from gang activity. It's communication level, so when they're trying to communicate to one another across the block. So what happens is, he drives by, he's got two guys on one side whistling back at him to tell him, the other guys that are vandalizing cars, or they're breaking into cars, it's a communication. So they have, one whistle will mean, hey, there's 3 people walking down the road, or they'll whistle twice. Each level amount of whistling is something. Like 3 whistles would be, hey, the cops are here, let's go. Or, they're communicating across a block. It's an old gang, long, old thing.
I've seen it in black and white movies.
Yeah, so that's what the whistling is. Like, I don't know about the basketball and all that, but I would assume that that's just kids walking down the block with the basketball, but the whistling is for sure communication.
Okay.
One thing. I'm very glad you brought this whistling up, and I hope everybody watches this video tonight, that the whole town can be aware of this. And you're absolutely right, every last person in this town has to be on top of it. Because I, for one, am a little dismayed, I'll put that gently, of what's going on. And
Okay.
yeah.
Who else? Okay. Just now, before I leave this point, I want to remind you that after we get into committee of the whole, you don't have that opportunity to comment, so.
We do have another.
Well, we do have another committee, citizen period at the end of this meeting, but our curfew conversation is coming up in committee of the whole, just so, which is what we've all been talking about, okay? So if we're good to move on, I will then move on to item number 4, the CEO report.
This is the report as of August 11th, 2017. There's quite a bit of information here since we haven't had a meeting since July 12th, so it's a month's worth. The following update is as relates to various departmental reports. The museum, they have hosted a number of youth groups. They had over 400 people visit the museum on Canada Day. They've commenced posting 150 interesting facts about local history on the museum's Facebook page. They've hosted a number of visitors, particularly during August long weekend, advertised for a new weekend host, confirmed delivery of the Terry Fox traveling exhibit for October, and have continued working on designations and collection management upgrading projects. KRC has been extremely busy. It was a huge success for Canada Day. They received a lot of compliments throughout the day as there was something for everyone to do. They made arrangements with a practicum coordinator from the University of Manitoba and had medical and physio students come to work with the kids at day camp. Swim lessons for July 17th to 21st were completed with 27 registrations. Interviews were completed for part-time wellness center staff, cleaning part-time pool. Summer students are in full swing and working out very well. KRC has received approval for funding through Healthy Together Now. They've also been approved funding for Just Girls Gym Nights and have been approved for the carryover $1,000 for Stepping Into Health program. Approximately 270 people attended the Kids Carnival on Saturday, July 29th. They've completed year-end inventory for minor soccer equipment, ball equipment, and the summer carnival. Worked with the homecoming committee on their event, which was held August 5th and 6th, which I was told was a success. Received 2 expressions of interest for the concession lease opportunity. She spoke to one individual about the Pro Shop skating sharpening hut at the arena. No official expression has been received, just conversation. Challenger Sports canceled the summer British soccer camp due to low registration. Completed advertisements and invitation letters for the parade of programs, which will be held September 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Deadline for ice requests for the 2017-2018 season was August 14th. The arena, Simcoe replaced electronics and ammonia detector as it has been tested and is up and running. Brine system in the ammonia plant has been pressure tested and no leaks were found. Wheelchair access railing completed as part of the fire commissioner's suggestion. Outdoor rink meetings have been had with Rotary, and they're getting prices on board installation from contractors. Five Pond did inspection of fire sprinkler systems, replaced faulty parts, and the system is now up to code. Summer Help and Green Team up and running and working out well. Their last day of work is August 25th. Wellness Center painting of the wall gyms has been done, some drywall work as well. The new Jacob's Ladder was installed. Winton Pool, the maintenance shutdown occurred last week in July to fix outstanding issues. The pool passed last health inspection with no outstanding issues. Water testing was sent out to the province and all those were passed as well. Parks, workers are getting caught up on green space areas around town after the heavy rainfall. Troublesome spot down by the river is getting better with garbage pickup. Crews go out every morning to pick up the garbage. Cemetery was a busy month. There were 7 burials. With the heavy rainfall, it's been quite difficult to keep up with the grass out there. Administration has been answering lots of questions regarding zoning, which is nice to see that people are asking before they build. The Chief Financial Officer has submitted her resignation and we are advertising for the position as Controller. Administration is continually working on updating the town policies and procedures. Been dealing with a number of grievances, working with Manitoba Hydro on filling the Energy Advocate position. Conciliation with QP on August 29th and the 30th will occur. Interviews were held for arena operator, maintenance labor 1, and facility monitor. Tentatively meeting with United Steelworkers in August, and we'll be working on fine-tuning our accessibility plan for our buildings.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Item number 6, confirmation of minutes resolution, please.
Moved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor Zelinski. Be it resolved that the minutes of the public meetings, be it resolved that the minutes of the public hearings, regular council meeting, and committee of the whole meeting of July 12, 2017, and the special meeting of July 17, 2017, be hereby approved, all statutory declarations having been complied with.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? It is carried. I apologize, this is going to take just a minute. I think I got them all. You might want to check. Okay. Item 7.1.1, sewage lagoon.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rock, whereas the town of the Paw Lagoon requires upgrading, and in order to move forward, the town is required to submit an Environmental Act proposal and a phosphorus compliance plan. And whereas the town has been working with Manitoba Water Services Board and JRCC Consulting to create a plan to address the shortcomings of the lagoon. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorize the engineering department to move forward with the Environmental Act proposal and phosphorus compliance submissions with regards to the town of the Paw Lagoon.
Any discussion? Councillor Rock.
Yeah, I speak in favor of this motion. There are some legal issues and whatnot that we have to confront and deal with, and the way to deal with that is by putting forward our plan and getting it accepted by the department so that we're allowed to move forward and move into compliance.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? It's carried. Alrighty, 7.3.1, OCM Blizzard.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore, whereas members of council have met with the OCN Blizzard Board of Directors to discuss the status of the OCN Blizzard, and whereas in the discussion, council realizes the importance of having the OCN Blizzard in the community, and whereas the OCN Blizzard Board of Directors requested additional in-kind funding from the town of the Paw to assist with the team operations, therefore be it resolved that council for the town of the Paw agree to an in-kind donation to OCN Blizzard consisting of sponsorship of 2 game nights at the Roy H. Johnston Arena, along with a 6-month membership for OCN Blizzard team for training and development subject to the following conditions. Point 1, the team provide community involvement, i.e. supervising public skating a few times or skills and drills with the public. And point 2, pre-arrangement of use of the Wellness Center for use of the facilities insofar as not to affect the operations during core hours.
Obviously, a junior A hockey team is very important to any community, and anything we can do to keep that team here is a worthwhile cause. Any comments? Councillor Rock.
Yes, I speak in support of it as well. I think it's important that we help the team to continue on and go forward. We were talking about what are kids going to do and how do we help get them off the street. Maybe this is one of the ways, is give them something to do, and by supporting our neighbors, OCN, and the hockey team that as part of a Tri-Council region, we all enjoy and benefit from. So I speak in favor of doing this.
Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. All right. 7.3.2, disc golf.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forward, whereas the town received a letter from the president of the Disc Golf and Putt advising that they wish to gift the 9 Innova dispatchers and the portable T signs to the Kelsey Recreation Town of the Paw. Therefore, be it resolved that council accept the 9 Innova dispatchers and the portable T signs with the understanding that it is not financially feasible for the town. It is not financially feasible. The town may not continue the upkeep of these. And this was decided even before they started this disc golf, that the town would not be responsible for it. So just clarifying that.
Okay. Any other comments? At the end of the meeting. Oh. Yeah, sorry. I can see you speak. I don't see why not. Is that a problem for anyone? Right?
It's not in accordance with the agenda, just to wait to the...
Just to wait till citizens.
You okay to let?
Once you start doing it, though,
Yeah.
Yeah, you have another opportunity at the end of the meeting to speak on anything.
just by way of comment, I was told there was a comment on Facebook today, and it was questioning what was going on and why the town was taking it over and whatnot, or being involved. And I would hope that the group that spearheaded this activity and whatnot would stay together and continue on so that they can promote this activity in our community, take care of it, keep an eye on it, work with the town, however we may be. We see the benefit of our slow pitch organization working with our town and doing that, and it's been quite successful from what I've seen, and I hope this activity could carry on the same way and be a productive cooperative venture.
Good. I want to say that barrier-free recreation is critically important to the success of any community, and so anything we can do to keep this activity going is great. The issue, of course, is money. So if it becomes broken down and is in need of much repair, if it becomes cumbersome to both the payroll and the operation of the town, then we would probably cease its operations. But until then, it's important we have that facility, and we're happy to take it over. Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. All right. 7.4.1, variation application. Oh, sorry, I missed one. 7.3.3, payroll and accounts. Money.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore. Be it resolved, the council authorize the following accounts: general checks number 19181 to 19248 in the amount of $139,480.41. Payroll period number 13 in the amount of $119,555.64. And electronic funds transfer in the amount of $63,637.59.
Any questions? Call the question. All in favor? It is carried. All right, 7.4.1, variation application.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore. Whereas the town received a variation application from JM Holdings Limited for several variations at the 702 and 728 Gordon Avenue. And whereas a public hearing was held on July 12, 2017 to hear any representation from the public with regards to the variation application, therefore be it resolved that council approve variation 201704 for 702 and 728 Gordon Avenue to vary the following. Pizza Hut, 425 square feet, rear yard minimum requirement from 20 feet varied to 4.45 feet. Required parking spaces from 10 spaces varied to 5 spaces. Tim Hortons, 750 square feet, rear yard minimum requirement from 20 feet varied to 4.45 feet. Required parking spaces from 10 spaces varied to 5 spaces. Michael's, including gas bar, 4,050.3 square feet. The store part is 1983 square feet. The remainder of the square footage after taking Pizza Hut and Tim's out. The concrete pad housing the gas part is 2,067.3 square feet. Rear yard minimum requirement from 20 feet varied to 4.45 feet. Car wash. Front yard minimum requirement from 30 feet varied to 25.85 feet. Garbage stand is considered ancillary. Structure must be 2 feet from all other accessory buildings, uses, and structures varied to 0 feet. Freezer is considered accessory building. No detached accessory building shall be located closer than 6 feet to any principal building varied to 0 feet.
That was well done.
Yeah,
Gee, that's a lot.
I'm going to steal Margaret's water, I think.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good. So, council, all members of council have before them a letter from the Kelsey School Division. For those in the here tonight, I'll just read it out. It was addressed to our Chief Administrative Officer, dear Ms. Alamanowicz. Kelsey School Division would like to express their concern on the proposed Tim Hortons on Gordon Avenue. Due to high volumes of traffic, including parents, students, and school buses in the area, Kelsey School Division is concerned regarding traffic flow and the effect on school traffic. Pasqua is a kindergarten to grade 5 school with a high volume of foot traffic as well. We would appreciate having these concerns addressed before the final decision is made. Yours truly, Julia McKay, Superintendent of Schools. All right, any discussion? Councillor? Sir?
Okay.
Yep. Ladies first. Councillor Conn.
I appreciate this letter. I wish truly that Kelsey School Division would have attended in public in here to address this very, very important decision. You know, she says in here, due to high volumes of traffic, including parents, students, and that, but I would have really, really liked to see them there. They had their chance a couple weeks ago to be here, and Mr. Wodilis left. And he could have stayed to the end of the meeting to address his concerns, which I found dismaying. And I just say, I think they should have been here.
Anybody else? Councilor Rock?
Yes, I'm speaking against the resolution. And there's a variety of reasons, and my vote is kind of split. With regard to the resolution where it refers to Pizza Hut, which is an existing operation, Michael's, including the gas bar, which is an existing operation. Both have been around for quite some time, and both are currently are in non-compliance with the requirement of 20 feet rear yard. Now, how it got that they were even able to build without having that variance and whatnot is probably a history lesson. But that's part of it. My feeling on that is, well, when these kinds of things happen, it would be unreasonable for council to decide, okay, you got to close the doors and fold it up because you're out of line, or you got to put a chain around it and move the building 20 feet. Those kind of things are not realistic. The other one in that one is there's a variance of your car wash front yard minimum. And there again, it falls into that category. It's an existing business and structure. It doesn't meet, it's not in compliance, but it's one of the reasons why variances are brought into play is because when these things happen, you were given the choice, and part of it is it's very hard to tell any owner, business operator, or whatnot, well, you got to close the doors until you comply. That wouldn't be realistic or reasonable. With regard to the garbage stand and freezer issues where there's wanting zero footage variances, those are different again, because here, if we had 20 feet behind the building, I don't think we'd be asking for those variances. I don't think it would change the opportunity for the business owner and the operator to do something with it. The non-compliance on the rear yard creates a problem, and when you think of it, these are basically like provincial standards. And why doesn't our community deserve the same standard as everybody else? We need to be cautious that we don't set up kind of that rolling wave that every time somebody needs something changed for the benefit of the business, and let's be clear, we all support business. We want businesses to succeed. We want them to be a positive element within our community. But beyond just the business and the business people's interests, we also have to be concerned about the citizens of the PAW. We have to be concerned about drivers in the PAW. We have to be concerned about young children going to school, utilizing our sidewalks in the PAW. We also even have to be concerned about workers in the PAW when you're thrown into a potential environment where you have lanes of traffic. Yes, it's on private property, but the plan that was put forward put traffic going this way and that way and coming out of okay, well, I got my coffee and my hot coffee in my lap and I'm ready to go, but I'm late for work, and they didn't see the 5-year-old child walking down the street, or somebody's backing out of one of the parking slots, and they didn't see the guy pull ahead. When they looked in the back mirror, there was nobody there, and then they backed up and bang, they backed into the guy coming out of the lane from with his hot coffee again. That's a challenge and a problem that and these are what ifs, but when you create the opportunity for those things to happen, I think probably we would all agree sooner or later, Murphy's Law says it will happen. Somebody will get injured, something will go wrong. The other problem I have, and here I think about drivers and drivers' insurance. Once those situations are created, if there's a small fender bender or something, there's no longer any onus on the business operator or the landowner, because now it became a driver's problem. Even though they may be thrown into a situation where they have to maneuver on a small piece of property in such a way that they're worried about people coming at them, people going behind them, people backing into them, and they're just trying to get through to the street. The additional issue and problem we have, and it's just became apparent with your highways, is where you have your double line. And then on those double lines, where the double lines are broken, they allow a left-hand turn. And I checked it there, and of course at Michael's, they have the left-hand turn. They can go in and get gas, which has been great. Like that's what the business, one of the points of having the business. But going forward, now, the plan shows a different entryway on the other side of the car wash for the Tim Hortons or whatever lineup, whatever purpose it is. Now, is that going to have to go to highways and get the double line removed so if you're driving into town from the south, you can turn in and get your coffee? Or are they going to have to go around and do something else? I don't know how all these things are going to play out. But the question tonight with regard to variances, if council approves this resolution as it now stands, is not simply removing the non-compliance issues of existing buildings and businesses, but it's also projecting into the forward or into the future uses of that property and how it might work out that, to me, could be a danger. Could be a danger to workers there, because you've got your business in one side and you've got your freezer in the other, and this is a food service business and whatnot. So how do you get back and forth? If you're using painted lines to work in the open area of the parking lot, it's going to be very confusing. So I would suggest to my fellow councillors that they really rethink the moving ahead on this as it now stands. As I said in the beginning, I would support variances to bring the existing businesses into compliance, but I don't support the variances for the garbage stand and the freezer, because I think if the other items had been in compliance, then we wouldn't have this issue. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Yep, Councillor Moore.
I'm going to be speaking in favor of the motion. I think that Mr. O'Rourke has done everything in his power to kind of foresee issues and problems that may arise and do what he can to be proactive about solving them before they become a problem. We've been at this table for this a few times, so it's something that's been thought of. It's been planned, I think, fairly well. So yeah, I'm going to be speaking in favor of it. I'm glad to see development and new things in the community, and yeah.
Okay.
Can I have just one more comment?
Yep.
Okay. I will not be speaking in favor of this. I have a few reasons. The entrance off the highway, I've checked into other Tim Hortons, and one specifically on Ontario, they've had numerous accidents in Sturgeon Falls, Ontario, and they've had to make changes to the highway. I've checked with PA, they've had numerous problems coming in off of the highway. I travel that highway every day. Actually, last night I did the COPP in front of 235 Fisher. That's right downtown, and I'm sure at the end it's about that. In 1.5 hours, there was 369 vehicles that went by. Some were speeding. There was many semis. Now, I cannot believe that if somebody sees an opening going to that drive-through, they're not going to take it. And I'm sorry, but kids are kids. They might be late for school, they might be talking with their friends, and they're going to run. And I will never, ever want to see 2 little feet under a semi ever again. I am not in favor of this. We have to put our children first. And like Brian said, this is an accident waiting to happen. The school is not 1 full block away from there. I've seen kids run across that street. You have the train station. I've been passed many times. I have the green light, and the second, I'm in the left-hand lane, and the right-hand lane speeds in front of me to get across the street, beat me because they have the thoroughfare. It's high for speeding. I'm sure the traffic division can attest to that. And again, I plead with everybody not to accept the responsibility of maybe having a child killed. And again, I say, I can close my eyes and I see those 2 little boots under that semi, because kids are kids, and I'm going to beat you across the street, race to sister, and that's the end. Thank you for your time. And I will be saying a no.
Okay, anybody else?
I'll be going for the variation application tonight. In my views, there is some issues that are with the property and the way that it's set up right now, but what we're approving tonight is a variation application. We're not approving the development agreement. There's still some stuff that's going to have to come forward with that we can address some of those concerns going forward. But in my eyes, there's been a traffic study that's been done, and it meets the specs for that in terms of traffic flows and that sort of thing. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably my biggest, it was my biggest concern, was that the traffic flows were going to be able to be maintained. So, yeah, I'm speaking for it.
Okay. Okay, I too am voting in favor. There is a tremendous amount of pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic along there. I could be wrong, but I believe that kindergarten kids are handed over at the school from the parent or guardian to the instructor. The instructor in the day that child is handed back over to that parent or guardian. They don't get to walk to and from school. I see a lot of people getting dropped off at school that never used to years ago. A lot of people don't walk as much as they used to. They get rides from their moms and dads. But there is certainly traffic issues, and people need to be on top of it all the time. I'm not fascinated, but I'm surprised at the letter that would come at such a late date from the Kelsey School Division. I believe the school they're talking about is the same one that's on a provincial highway number 10 that's situated across the street from a bulk fuel station that has 2 very large propane tanks on its playground property. This at a Tim Hortons seems to be a big issue for them. I find that interesting. Almost a year ago to the date, this community was rattled to its very core. And in a year, and he's been working on this for over a half a year, in that time frame, he's trying to rebuild our community. He's trying to put people to work. He's trying to create jobs. He's trying to expand our tax base, and I support that. And that's why I'll be voting in favor of it. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 2. Okay. I don't have it.
Give and pass
Oh,
it down.
yeah.
No, pass it to you. There's some.
It's gigantic.
Oh, there it is, sorry. Okay, that's 5. 2, it's carried. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. 7.7, committee the minutes from Destination Marketing Committee. Everybody had a chance to read those? Okay, we'll then move on to unfinished business. Reports, Museum Board. Councillor Rock.
There's been no meetings since June. One of the next meetings, second Tuesday in September.
All right. Chamber of Commerce. Councillor Commodore.
No meetings?
Sustainable Force. Councillor Rock.
No meeting, no report.
Okay. Citizens on Patrol. Councillor Commodore.
We had no meeting, but there was a barbecue, but unfortunately, my family came first that night, and I couldn't attend.
Okay. Community Development Corporation. Councillor Gill.
No meeting.
Destination Marketing. We already got the minutes.
Can I just add to
Sure, you
that?
can. Absolutely.
We do have a meeting tomorrow, so on the off chance that anybody has a grant application ready to go, we're meeting tomorrow. And also, we are working with the CDC on hiring a staff person. We have completed first rounds of interviews and are moving into second rounds of interviews this weekend. So hopefully we'll have a staff person hired soon.
Okay. Thank you. Recycling Board. Councillor Zelinski.
No meeting.
TPCRC. Councillor Marsh.
We had a meeting. We mostly just went over accounts. We did get some sad news from the province that they were cutting our funding for the housing fix-up grant, so we're no longer able to offer that program at this time. But on the off chance that we do get funding again, they will definitely be advertising that. They held their street festival in conjunction with the homecoming. It went over extremely well, and thank you to Councillor Gibb and our mayor for coming out and allowing a lot of people to throw pies at them and water balloons, and I stood in the middle, and I will say it was a very good shift and a very good spot to be because I didn't take as many pies as these two gentlemen here, so thank you very much. The spray park and skate park were able to raise about $1,200 with everybody coming out to volunteer, so, and thank you to everybody who donated.
Thank you. Library Board. Councillor Forward.
No meeting.
Joint Committee Councils. Councillors Commodore and Rock.
No meetings yet.
KSD Committee meeting. No meeting. Then we will move on to Citizens Period. Part 2. An opportunity, anyone who wanted to address council, please do so. Yeah. Stephen.
Stephen Fire, 12 2nd Street West. I just wanted to clarify with the disc golf. If it I've put in courses all over the United States, approximately 75 of them myself. And when it does go into the community and it does go to where there is certain cost, there is minimal cost for the course itself because it's permanent pretty much in the ground. It's concreted, there's stainless steel metal, you tee off from the ground. It's not like we constantly need to be putting gravel down on the ground to tee off from or anything like that. It's already there, it's not going anywhere. I just want to express that we do want to have a working relationship with the Park and Recs department. So if there's volunteering or that there needs to be wood chips that you guys want put underneath baskets or whatever it may be, that's 100% what we want to be. We don't want to, if there's hard work or hard labor that needs to be done, we don't need city guys to do it, we'll do it. There's a group of us already in the community, we love our sport, I love our park, we appreciate everything you guys do. The Park and Rec guys have been so awesome. We put a little walkway through the middle of the marsh so we can walk from one side to the other side without having to walk all the way around the point. It's been an awesome working relationship. Sam, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight. He just wanted me to express that. We're willing to do any of the work that needs to be done. We don't need all this extra stuff, and we just want to continue a working relationship with you guys, and it's been awesome, and the park is great. September 9th, I don't know if you guys are doing anything, come check it out. There's going to be a kids disc golf tournament. It's going to be great. That was sponsored by the TPCRC. Awesome working with them guys. They're really cool to be involved in the community with everything. It's been awesome. I just want to say I appreciate everything you guys have done for us.
Well, on behalf of our community, we appreciate your efforts too.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How many people are using the disc golf setup, if you had to guess?
I just taught a 6-week course, 6 straight weeks for every Tuesday, I gathered 65 to 75 students by myself and taught them, filled up the whole park. I had like pictures. It was beautiful, you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like going from like being put in the ground last year, 2 players in the entire community, to 75, 80 to 100 kids now that understand it, know what it is, and not just kids either. Like I'm bringing out adults 2, 3 times a week. Like it's gonna blow up really fast, and it's awesome that you guys are supportive. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Excellent, thank you. Okay,
Gotta go home.
anybody else? Annette?
Annette Niven, 1737th. I want to talk about Timmy's. I'll just give you a bit of my history. I lived on 7th Street all my life. When it was gravel, when it was bush, I saw the development grow from gravel to where it is today. I've often walked uptown. Yes, there was a train, and you have to wait for the train, so it's a big lineup, even as today. And if you're coming this way, there's a big lineup on this side. And of course, the red lights on this side, all these parked cars. Now, when you go into Timmy's, I'm not against having a Timmy's here. I want everyone to know I'm not against having a Timmy's. I think it's great to have another Timmy's here, to have choice, but it's the safety. Now, you're going to have people coming through that drive-thru. They're not going to just stop there and park. You're going to have people park down that highway. And then when they can't park and they want to get into Timmy's and people want to get home, there's not going to be any room. Semi-trucks are going to come there. And I've seen it happen so many times, because I even did with my husband, who was a truck driver, would park on the highway and walk across the street to a Timmy's. And a lot of these people will be parking on the highway. Semis, everything on this side. So where does the kids go? Where does the traffic come to get to where they're going when it's all blocked off? Either through a train and through the lights and through folks who are going to Timmy's. Cannot they not put in a place where it's safe, at some place where maybe truckers can stop and actually have something to eat, rest their souls? And if you want to expand your business, throw a shower in there to a food table for your truckers. You'll get every trucker around you stopping at your Timmy's. But where it is right now, it's not safe. And it's not these little kindergarten kids that's going to get hit. It could be adults, it could be teenagers. It could be people walking down the street with their kids. We saw how many kids we almost see get hit. I know, let's be realistic. Now, yeah, business, we're going to stick up for our partner or whatever. Be realistic. That could be your kid, your grandchildren, walking across that street or getting hit by a car. So I'm totally against it. I think it should be up to people if they want that Timmy's here, not only the council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, yep, Cindy.
Cindy Stephen, 527 Bignell. Yes, I agree with another Timmy's coming, but not there. I'm an education assistant, or a TA, and I've walked that way different times when I've been called in casually to go over to the school. I've just about been hit, seriously. And yeah, people are going to be rushing to get to work, to whatever. And even walking, or even if I've driven over to a Pasco school before. I'm at the light is red, and I'm on this side of the tracks. Some people are in such a damn rush, they'll go right around you.
I've seen it.
And it's just an accident waiting to happen. I remember when that boy was hit. That was the old Canton restaurant, wasn't it? He was coming from? Yeah, I remember that. I didn't see it, but I believe I knew the driver of the semi. Yeah, so like I say, I'm for another Timmy's, but not there.
Okay, appreciate your
I
comments.
mean, and if something were to happen, thanks.
Okay,
Andrew, 61028 Johnson Crescent.
Andrew?
Hey, kind of just wanted to go over like taxes. What really the council's doing about the taxes in this town. You have like Bag Shop, for instance, you have some people paying like $500 for taxes. Now I haven't been to these meetings before, but there is some people saying Bag Shop paying $500 in taxes. Then you have 2 streets over, Diamond Crescent, you have 10 people paying 10,000, if not more. What are you guys doing to fix this tax situation is kind of what I'm wondering, where you can make it more evenly for everybody.
This is going to sound like I'm really dodging this, but I'm not. Because the explanation you're looking for is a fairly lengthy and detailed answer. And so I think it's in your best interest to set up a meeting with our future controller and perhaps with one of our senior managers, CAO Randy or with Jennifer, and have that discussion. Bring a sandwich, some milk. It's going to take some time. It's not like I don't want to answer, because we could sit here for hours and talk about this. It's something I'm very passionate about, obviously, and so. But I just think you clearly understand where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, is to have that meeting. It's just, I mean, I could go on, like seriously, we could be here for hours.
And to further sound like we're dodging this, there are some things that we can't control, and I'm sorry, Mr. RCMP, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but 25% of our tax dollars go to RCMP costs, and when you get your tax bill, you need to remember that your school taxes are also on that tax bill. So it's not just taxes that you're paying to us, we collect the taxes for the school division and then forward those to the school. So I can promise you, have been doing everything that we can to make our budget stay the same, because we can't afford to make it go smaller right now. But to answer your question, a lot, and yeah,
But
bring
like
more
I
than
said
just a sandwich.
Before, you have some people paying 500, opposed to, say, some people even on my street that are paying 12.
I can't.
So, just to answer, Andrew, like that, your question of disparity is around how the property is assessed, right? Not the overall base. Taxes, amount we've taken for taxes has not changed over the last 2 to 3 years. It's gone down a little bit. But how it's distributed is not consistent. So if you're going to build a new property, you're going to get assessed way up here. And that's a function of how the system works, and it's not something we can control. It's the province comes in and assesses properties. Now, I know they've been trying to catch up, which should, in a sense, level that
Well, we do have
disparity, but
the
without a
highest
doubt,
taxes.
it's a huge impediment to growth, right? Because why are you going to build a new house if it's going to cost that? But it's not necessarily a function of what we as a council or as an operation is taking. It's a function of how
It should
it's.
be like a flat fee. though, like
I
everybody
totally agree with you,
pay
but
the
we
same
don't
to a
have
certain
that.
point, and then
Yeah,
you're based on if you have a brand new property or not. Because,
Correct. Yep.
like I said, 12 grand for
Yep.
some people, 500 for others, just
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
no,
And you look at, say, Winnipeg, for instance, or, well, yeah, Winnipeg, you have a lot more taxpayers and
exactly,
whatnot.
right?
but-
You have a bigger pool. We're in a small community. You're not having all these new properties.
But
built.
still,
We have
even
one
when
or
you're
two
looking
a
at saying selling or buying a home, people look at the taxes. It's gonna make it really hard for those people wanting to buy a home that has $7,000-8,000 taxes
agree.
opposed to somebody who has 500 or 15, right? So something needs to change in those regards,
Yeah.
I think. And I know you guys are, well, I know Jim is working hard on it, and I don't know.
We've discussed about implementing a quasi-flat tax setup. There's been other things, just haven't got to it.
But again, you have to understand that the province bases everything on assessment. Everything. Anything of value in this province is based on assessment. So just,
The
just
height
quickly do
difference
this.
is
You've
quite
got
a
a
bit from, say, 300 to 200,
So,
you know,
yeah,
like it's
so here's a
huge
perfect
difference in
example.
tax.
You have two identical houses. Family A has lived in this house for 30 years. They painted the place once. Family B has been in this house for a year and a half, and before that, someone else was in there for a year and a half, and before that, someone was in there for 2 years. And that house is getting assessed all the time, and the value of it's going up and up and up, and yet they're identical homes. This tax is considerably higher than these taxes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that's what we're up against, and only 5 years I've been saying flat tax, just 5 years. So hopefully, we're closer than we have been before.
Awesome, thank you.
But don't forget to bring the sandwich and the milk, because it's a long conversation. Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Right here.
There we go. We're done. All right. We're going to pack up and go next door for our committee of the whole meeting, and you're welcome to attend that. Just to be aware that you won't be able to speak.